Welcome to the Counselor Soapbox video channel. This video begins our series on mental health topics. Will your counselor keep your secrets? This is one of the top viewed posts on our blog, and I thought it was time to create a video to explain it in more detail. In considering how much to tell your therapist, the more you can tell them, the better. Keeping secrets can keep you sick, so tell them as much as possible. For you to be able to disclose your secrets, you need to know what secrets the therapist can keep and what secrets they can't keep. What do you need to know about confidentiality and counseling? The basic rule is that everything you tell a counselor is confidential unless there is a specific exception, or unless you agree to give up that confidentiality, usually by signing a consent to release information. When in doubt, you should always ask the counselor about confidentiality and how they handle this issue. It's important to understand that confidentiality and the exceptions are determined by laws. Laws can change, and they can vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. This should be explained to you before you begin counseling. This is part of a thing we call informed consent. It's important to understand what secrets the counselor cannot keep. A major one is if you are a danger to yourself. Danger to self means you're planning to kill yourself or do serious bodily harm, as in cut off your arm or leg. This would not include things that look dangerous to others, such as drinking, doing drugs, or taking up skydiving. Another legal exception to confidentiality is if you are a danger to others. This is sometimes described as a terror-soft warning. Danger to others means you plan to kill or seriously harm someone else, and a counselor would have not only a duty to report this, but to try to protect the intended victim. Another secret that counselors cannot keep is if you are gravely disabled, which means you have food but don't know how or aren't able to eat it. You have clothing but don't know how to dress yourself. This group plans to commit suicide, to harm someone else or yourself. Not being able to care for yourself requires the counselor to report and may require that you be placed on an involuntary hold or a commitment at a psychiatric facility. These almost never come up when an individual client goes to see a counselor. They occur largely in hospital emergency rooms or when the police come into contact with someone who seems incapable of caring for themselves. There's some other rare exceptions to confidentiality when counselors are not able to keep their clients' secrets. One of those is if you plead not guilty by reason of insanity. In that case, your entire file, everything you've told the counselor that's been recorded in their notes, may be entered into evidence, and the counselor can't just withhold certain things while conveying other things that you want them to. Also, while it rarely happens, if you sue the counselor saying that they did a poor job in taking care of you, they may be able to introduce your file to prove what kind of care they gave you. This is a very rare situation, but something to keep in mind if you begin to be unhappy with what the counselor does. You should talk with them first or consider switching to a different counselor. Another major category of secrets the counselor cannot keep are things that involve abuse. If you describe something which sounds like abuse of someone who can't protect themselves, then that may require a report on the part of the counselor. Counselors are required to report suspected child abuse. It's not their job to investigate and see whether it's true, but if in the course of their work they're told something that sounds like it might be child abuse, they must make that report. The same thing, abuse of an elderly person must also be reported, and abuse of a disabled person, someone who really can't protect themselves, requires a mandated report. These three types of abuses are all mandatory, and the counselor does not get to decide whether or not to make them. There are some other times when what you say in counseling may not be kept in confidentiality. When someone else refers you to counseling and they're paying, the counselor has to report back to the referring party. What you say may not be covered as confidential. This should be explained to you before you begin talking with this counselor. But just keep in mind, if you were court-ordered to counseling, if you're required to go to counseling as a condition of parole or probation, it is quite possible that the counselor will not be able to keep what you tell them confidential. Another exception to confidentiality that comes up is if you were referred by Child Protective Services that you must get counseling in order to keep your children or in order to see your children in a custody case, then what you tell that counselor may not be confidential. They may have to write a report of their opinion about what you have been doing and saying. Also, if you attend someone else's counseling session, you go as a guest because they want you present. They get the confidentiality, but it's quite likely that anything you say in this session will not be kept confidential. A question that comes up frequently is, do counselors report crimes? Counselors do not report crimes unless they fall under one of the exceptions to confidentiality. The goal of the counselor working with people is to help those people change. Their role is not as part of law enforcement or to catch wrongdoers. However, the counselor's working for law enforcement, then you're not the client, and what you say will be reported to law enforcement or the courts. This sometimes comes up in the case of adults who are abusing each other or domestic violence. The counselor cannot report these sorts of things. The adult client is responsible for reporting things that have happened to them. In considering what to tell a counselor, remember that counselors or therapists are human. Counseling is most likely to help you if you have a good relationship with that counselor. Some counselors, just like other people in your life, are trustworthy, and some are more trustworthy than others. In the early stages of counseling, you need to take some time to get to know your counselor, and when in doubt, ask them specific questions about how they will handle confidentiality. Like all other things in life, some counselors know the rules but break them anyway. Consider whether, once your counselor has divulged your secret, what effect that will have on the rest of your life before making that disclosure. What's ahead for the Counselor's Soapbox video channel? More mental health and wellness videos, videos on happiness, creativity, and productivity, and videos about drugs, alcohol, and recovery from using them. If you have enjoyed this video, please click the like button directly below. Comments are always appreciated. To receive new videos in this series or any other, please subscribe. Thanks for watching the Counselor Soapbox video channel. For more information, please visit my blog, counselorsoapbox.com, where you will find 1,700 text articles about mental health, substance abuse, and having a happy life. The David Joel Miller fiction and nonfiction books are available on Amazon. Photos are courtesy of Pixabay Commons and Wikimedia Commons and were shared under the Creative Commons free for commercial use, no attribution required license. Thank you for watching.